Welcome to Impact Signals, social impact at the scale of AI. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Sarah.
Tuesday, March 10th, episode 26. Today, satellite data that cuts disaster recovery by 30%, a warning that 55 million people face hunger by summer, and a compliance countdown that every humanitarian tech team needs to hear. EU AI Act's high-risk deadline is 5 months away.
Big day. Let's get into it.
Our lead story, the United Nations just changed the baseline for how fast disaster damage data gets delivered. UNDP and the UN Satellite Center, UNOSAT, housed at UNITAR, signed a new operational framework this morning that produces integrated damage reports within 48 hours of a crisis. That's up to 30% faster than before.
So what exactly changed?
Before, satellite analysis and field assessment happened in parallel but separately. This framework merges them. Satellite imagery feeds directly into UNDP's tracking systems for damage, affected populations, and vulnerability. Field teams validate on the ground in real time, which also builds a feedback loop that improves accuracy over time. UNDP Crisis Bureau Director Shoko Noda framed it precisely. Faster data means faster recovery. The sooner we identify the most affected communities, the sooner governments can restore services, reopen clinics, and help families return to normal life.
48 hours is now the new expectation in any UNDP-led recovery. That's a procurement signal for any vendor in the disaster space.
Exactly. If your damage assessment tool can't integrate with UNDP and UNOSAT pipelines and deliver within that window, you're behind the standard. Organizations running 7 to 14-day damage cycles, which is still most of the sector, need to plan for that gap.
Story 2 hits even harder in terms of scale. WFP is warning that 55 million people across West and Central Africa could face crisis hunger or worse between June and August 2026.
That's the lean season forecast, the window between harvest depletion and the next crop cycle. WFP is combining machine learning food security modeling, satellite vegetation indices, and conflict displacement data to arrive at that figure. Concurrent with this, in South Sudan alone, 7.7 million people are projected at crisis phase food insecurity through June. And the UNICEF-WFP Joint Humanitarian Campaign for Q1 2026 totals $8.4 billion, giving you a sense of the resource mobilization the sector is attempting.
The action window is now. Pre-positioning decisions for the Sahel lean season need to be made in the next few weeks, not in May.
WFP's Hunger Map Live is the primary tool here, machine learning aggregating near real-time food insecurity data at the subnational level. Field teams in the Sahel should be running that alongside their logistics planning right now. Story 3. This morning, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies launched a CHF 40 million emergency appeal, that's approximately $51.5 million US, to support the Iranian Red Crescent Society. The appeal targets 5 million people over the next 16 months through a complex emergency response covering health, shelter, water, sanitation, and livelihoods.
Complex emergency is important framing there. That classification means converging stressors, economic shocks, internal displacement, and climate vulnerability, all hitting simultaneously, not a single event.
The IRCS operates one of the largest national Red Crescent networks in the world. That scale matters for tech deployment. Any approved digital tool for community health, cash transfer verification, or beneficiary data management would move to millions of people rapidly through that volunteer network. It's a rare, large-scale deployment context for humanitarian digital tools in the Middle East. Practitioners watching the Red Cross funding pipeline, IFRC activation is a signal to check your partnership agreements and understand how ECHO and bilateral donor flows are linking into this appeal.
Story 4 is timed perfectly. EU AI Week opens today in Brussels. That's March 10th through 14th. And the headline is the compliance clock. High-risk AI systems operating in the European Union must complete conformity assessments, finalize technical documentation, and register in the EU database by August 2nd, 2026. That's 5 months from today.
What falls under high risk?
A lot that the humanitarian sector uses. AI tools for migration and asylum processing, refugee benefit determination, displaced persons data management, anything touching employment decisions or essential services for populations in EU jurisdictions. The EU AI Act's definition is broader than most organizations assume right now.
The compliance risk is concrete. After August 2nd, organizations must continuously monitor regulatory updates, cooperate with national supervisory authorities, and report AI incidents. Failure to comply carries administrative, civil, and criminal exposure. EU AI Week has workshops and compliance clinics this week. That's the resource to use if your organization is operating in this space. Story 5 is a research breakthrough worth tracking. A team published today on arXiv, paper 2603.06611, a deep learning system that detects water contamination from microscopic images of unincubated samples in approximately 60 seconds. No incubation, no lab, no specialized reagents.
Compare that to the current standard, 24 to 48 hours for culture-based E. coli testing.
The system uses convolutional neural networks trained on microscopy images, runs offline on low-cost hardware, and shows accuracy comparable to standard culture methods for field conditions. This is specifically designed for post-disaster water monitoring, flood response, displacement camps, earthquake zones where labs don't exist. Current estimate for field pilots, 12 to 18 months if validation holds. WASH teams and water safety officers should bookmark this one.
The gap it fills is real. In the first 48 to 72 hours after flooding, communities are drinking from sources that haven't been tested because results won't come back for 2 days. 60 seconds changes that calculus entirely.
Our final story connects back to Lebanon, which we've been tracking since episode 23. Today, the European Commission's DG ECHO, the EU's humanitarian aid directorate, mobilized emergency support for Lebanon as the crisis continues. Separately, today's European Flood Awareness System Daily Flash flagged active flood and flash flood alerts across multiple European regions.
2 crises, same day, same system trying to coordinate response.
That's exactly the challenge that tools like Gannet, the AI situational awareness platform from the H2N network, are built for. Gannet was activated in Lebanon earlier this month and has now been deployed across 3 major crisis contexts: Sudan, Hurricane Beryl, and Lebanon. The simultaneous alert environment is the real test of whether AI-assisted situational awareness can help coordinate triage across multiple active crises without degrading quality on any individual response.
Gannet is free to access for humanitarian practitioners at h2nnetwork.org. Worth knowing about if you're doing multi-crisis coordination.
Before we wrap, events. HNPW 2026, Humanitarian Networks and Partnerships Weeks, is in its final days, wrapping March 14th in Geneva and virtually. This week is EU AI Week in Brussels. The WSIS Prizes nomination deadline is in 5 days, March 15th. If you're working on AI or ICT projects in sustainable development, that's your window. And looking ahead, NVIDIA GTC runs March 17th through 21st in San Jose with an AI for Good track. Disasters Expo USA is March 18th and 19th in Anaheim, and the AAAI Spring Symposium on AI and Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response is March 24th through 26th at Stanford.
Busy month for the field.
That's Impact Signals for Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. If this briefing is useful, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out at impactsignals.ai and share it with someone working in the field.
Stay ready.